Welcome to the SideShow. Hey, I'm Shane. And okay, let's take it bit by bit. I need to rant. I need to talk about Euphoria, right? But I'll keep it brief. Well, as brief as I could keep it. Because, well, for context, the finale for this show came out Sunday. I watched it Monday. It's currently Tuesday. And we need to discuss this, okay? Now let's get the obvious talking points out of the way. The final season in general, season 3, vastly different from season 1 and 2. Like everyone has made that point very clear, and I agree, right? The drastic time difference, as well as all the actors moving on from that, right? Firstly, Zendaya, she was already a star before Euphoria, so she maintained her acting and whatnot. But especially, you see, uh, Sydney Sweeney, as controversial as she is, as well as Jacob Elordi, their careers really took off after Euphoria, right? They were already good, they did great, and they got even better. Okay? Plus that time difference really took a toll on the show, and the biggest impact would be the actor for Fezco passing away in real life, right? Angus Cloud, rest in peace. But that being said, we need to discuss this because I keep opening my social media. I keep opening TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. And the exact same talking points keep reoccurring. Stupid people keep asking stupid questions. Like, firstly, people. Okay, let's get one that's not that stupid. People were confused. Why wasn't there a funeral scene for Rue? Why didn't Rue get a funeral scene? And I understand they want the closure from it, right? But at the end of the day, it's supposed to be a tragic story here they're trying to tell. Okay? And even if you had a funeral scene, what would you have? Just everyone crying and then probably Ali giving a big funeral speech? He already gives multiple speeches, right? So if you were to have a funeral scene, it wouldn't be that much. And then to piggyback off on that, people were upset that the other characters who were her friends, right? So Maddie, Cassie, even Lexi, no one seemed that emotionally distraught. Now, mind you, there was a time skip. After she died, there was a time skip before showing their reaction. But even ignoring that, one thing that no one is really pointing out is that, again, this show, well, Rue specifically, is supposed to represent that character arc of an addict, right? She was an addict. And the reason why friends, even family members of addicts, don't grieve similarly. Like you could see it even when Ali discovered Rue died on his couch. He doesn't have a big shocking reaction, right? Similarly, I assume even her own friends, when they found out, wouldn't have this big meltdown crying reaction. Because guess what? The sad reality is that when you know an addict, in the back of your mind, you kind of jot down that one of these days you kind of are prepared for a phone call like this. That's the sad reality. You kind of prepare in the back of your mind that it is a good possibility that, hey, someone will call you up and be like, your friend just passed away. It's sad, but it's true. And in my opinion, I think that's why I don't like when people are upset that, ooh, they didn't show Maddie having a crack. Maddie, of all people. The girl had a shotgun pointed at her and she wasn't even crying for herself. She would cry for her friend. You know what I mean? And then, okay, this one is going to be a bit. I'm not sure how to phrase it, but what I want to say here is that Euphoria might not be uh, how to put it? Euphoria might not be a top 5 show of all time, right? Especially given this final season, right? It's not this great magnum opus or something like that, especially given this final season. But when you peel back the OnlyFans and you peel back the racist Nazi drug dealing guys and you peel back the strip club owning black cowboys, all that stuff, the main purpose here is to be a gigantic PSA. Do not do drugs. kids, don't do drugs, especially this final season. It's hammering home that point. Hey, don't do drugs. And what kind of upset me a bit is that online, yes, you have people talking about the big shocking moments, right? Like you have Cassie supersizing up and acting out all these fetishes and whatnot. I understand. That's a flashy moment. Then you have people talking about Nate and how he didn't really, he was a victim all season. I understand. But then I keep looking and looking and looking, and no one is talking about the fact that, hey, let's appreciate the fact that they took the time to put in a full length shot of how to use an at home testing kit for fentanyl, right? And they especially put in that speech where Ali is in a meeting talking about the fact that things have severely changed and no one is talking about fentanyl. Because even the creator, that's why I have this story pulled up here. The creator, Sam Levinson, I've never said his name out loud, but Sam, I don't want to defend the guy. The guy has made some very questionable choices, but I will say he mentions that when he was a child or when he was younger, people could take pills off the street, and the worst that might happen to them is a bad trip. They didn't have to worry about this because it makes no sense when you think about it. Why kill the customer? Right? Imagine if gambling worked similarly or alcohol worked similarly. You don't want them dying, you want them hooked on your product forever. However, this is a unique problem, and it's not just a one off, it's a gigantic issue, and they emphasize it heavily in this speech, okay? From the very ground up, from the cartels creating it, to the people smuggling it, to corrupt police and authorities allowing it, and then politicians who ignore it, all these things. It's a huge issue that is being overlooked for the sake of money. And I'm upset that no one is talking about anything relating to that, right? Because I really appreciated the fact that they put in a scene of how to test your own drugs. Mind you, don't do drugs at all. But if for some reason you see yourself holding something and about to take it and you know you shouldn't be taking it, and you made up your mind that you're going to take it, at least test it to make sure it's not the biggest no-no of all, right? But yes, Euphoria has a lot of things that could be said about it that I would agree with as well when it comes to negative points. But at least they tried to give a little PSA. And I believe most of this, like the creator himself said, was influenced by Angus Cloud passing away in real life, right? The guy did die from a fentanyl overdose, right? So they decided to tell his story a little bit through Rue herself. And it was nice, in my opinion, right? Despite how we had to go through we had to go through an entire circus of a show to get there, but at least we got there somehow. And it was good enough to the point where I actually teared up when Rue had her final scene. You know, it really was emotional, right? And I will give them a round of applause for that. Again, it doesn't fit with the first two seasons at all. This honestly could have been a new pitch for a brand new, completely different show. You know what I mean? Because it's just so disconnected, but at the same time, whatever. It happened how it happened, and I'm glad that at least all the characters had an ending you could understand and all that good stuff. And yes, I wouldn't harp on it much longer because there is a lot more that I could talk about, but I didn't really organize it that much, I'm realizing. But I don't know, I strongly dislike going on social media and then you see people asking dumb questions. It's just it's so, I don't know how to explain it. And then, oh, I I'm seeing rumors, I didn't see it in this article specifically, that Bishop specifically was supposed to be either related or maybe one of his relatives knew Ali. So it made sense why he helped out Ali in the end. Because, yes, there was all that foreshadowing with the snake, that Bishop would be a snake to Alamo. Yes, there was all that foreshadowing, but there wasn't really a motive behind it. Because his character, his personality was a bit, you know, not fully explored. He was kind of just always stone faced, not much emotion. And if, I'm not saying to add emotion to the character because he did it, the actor himself did really well. But what I'm saying is that give a little bit of dimension in the story writing to be like, okay, this is the final straw. This is why he's deciding, because he was perfectly fine with cutting up people's body parts, feeding them to pigs. He was completely fine with all of that. But overdosing one drug mule and touching Maddie is, well, forcing Maddie into that, for lack of a better term, relationship. Forcing her into that. That was the straw. It was a bit out of nowhere, but if he were related to Ali or knew Ali or one of his relatives knew Ali, it would make sense. And I believe it a little bit because guess what? When Rue dies, Ali says, uh, uh, may she find peace or may there be mercy. He says something, but whatever his line was, guess what? Bishop says the exact same line when he's dropping the bullets down. I'm 99% sure it was the exact same line. So guess what? If Alamo, sorry, not Alamo, if Bishop did have a relative who passed away who knew Ali and he heard Ali say that same line however many years ago, and he says it now with Rue, and then guess what? Bishop says it when he drops the bullet. That would be good. But I'm not sure if that rumor was just made up by fans or if it was confirmed, but I like that rumor a little bit. But yeah, I've yapped about that enough, right? For now, I just want to go through some Reddit questions or Reddit stuff and see what happens. At this point, I've vented enough about the show. Let's just get into this. And yeah, first up, from r/ask Reddit. What was the scariest quote? We need to leave now. Gut feeling that you've ever experienced. Serious. Am I the only person who really dislikes when there are these like tonal indicators? I'm not sure what they are called, but how they have in square brackets say serious. I don't really, I don't know. It could just be because I'm biased towards a time a time before time when those weren't really that common in text and stuff like that. But whatever, things change. Get over it. First up, hiking in a slot canyon. What's a slot canyon? And noticing a trickle of water running down the floor of the canyon, I told my friend to get out and hurry back the way we came. Within an hour, the canyon was half full of raging water. Oh, that, well, that kind of makes sense, I guess, right? Because canyons, the weather around them tend to be very dry. So if it were a trickle of water because of rain, then everywhere would have been wet, right? But for a canyon in the middle of like a desert or something to see water coming from there, kind of weird. So I guess it makes sense why, guess what? This is the very front of the flood that's about to happen, right? This is the water that arrived at the party early. This makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, I don't know anything about canyons. But yeah, that's a bit. Someone replied, "That's why we never went canyoning during monsoon season in Arizona. The storm doesn't have to be on you. All it needs is to be uphill." Again, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because, well, water flows down. Big shocking explanation needed. But yeah, I learned something new because I've never actually been like canyoneering, is that a word? But I've never been in a canyon, like hiking and exploring a canyon. So I know if I see a trickle of water and the weather itself in the surrounding area is dry, guess what? A lot of water must be on its way, rushing down for that water to make its way down here. You know? Let's see. Someone else said, met up with someone whom we shared mutual friends with many years ago before a party. He made drinks for us and at one point kept tipping my cup back and encouraging me to drink. I said I had to go to the bathroom. I ran out of the house and called a friend to pick me up. I don't remember the rest of the night because I was drugged. Ooh, that's crazy. Because, like, I. This is something I'm pretty sure a lot of women fear. A lot of people probably fear it in general, but for sure, women I know probably fear this so much because it's such an easy accessible thing that you could do to anyone. So it means that in turn, you are also scared of it happening at any point in time to you, right? Because I don't know how else to explain, but good for this person for picking up on that. And the sad part is that there really is no surefire way, right? There just is no way, at least to my knowledge, right? Taking drinks from strangers is just such a danger. Not just drinks, food. Now, mind you, I don't take food at all from anyone. Not because I'm scared of being drugged, but I'm scared of anything being in it at all that shouldn't be in it at all. So I'm very hesitant when it comes to taking food, especially from people I don't know. Even when I'm buying food, I'm very, very particular who I buy food from. And I'm not sure if everyone shares that same sentiment because I think that I'm normal for like severely scrutinizing places that I purchase food from. But I don't know if other people are as strict as I am because I've seen people just, you know, pull over randomly while we're driving and it's a brand new place none of us know about. And they're like, oh, let's just try there. And I'm like, okay, cool. But then you walk into the establishment, and the first thing I do would be look around, get an idea of what the sanitation looks like, try to figure out, okay, if there are people sat down who are eating, try to take a glimpse at their food, see if it's like different things that I do. And then I look over at friends, and they're just like, head in the clouds, not paying attention, already reading the menu, trying to figure out what they will be buying because they already know that and decided that they will try the food. I don't know. Am I paranoid? Who knows? Let's read one more. Someone replied saying, on a bike camping trip. Okay. On a bike camping trip with my buddy, we were getting close to the site. The foliage near this particular backwoods area gets extremely dense, and the only way what? And the only way with mountain bikes for a bit is designated. Wait, what? And the only way with mountain bikes for a bit is the designated trail. I'm not sure if I just don't understand, but yeah. We're biking along, and I see the biggest pile of bear of bear crap right in the middle of the path, and we stop. I'm like, quote, man, I don't know if there's a bear. There's literally nothing we can do except turn around, shout, and bear spray. My buddy urges me to keep going. Sure enough, another 100 meters and the corner, and there's a huge brown bear sitting like an adorable dumbass on the tree. He's sitting like a teddy bear. Oh my goodness, he sat down with his like all his 4 feet facing forward because he just sat. We start slowly going backwards, and it matches our pace for a long while. Very stressful. Couldn't make it to the site that night, that's for sure. That's insane. I've never seen a bear in real life, and I don't think I ever want to. Both the animal and the gay man, I'm just not. Ugh. I would be terrified. I would be horrified if I, well, wait, I think it's Pride Month because I saw ads for it. So yeah, sorry. I'll put out my apology video next week. But yeah, if I saw an animal like a bear or even just like um cougars or anything like that, I've never encountered them. I never want to because I feel as though I may shit myself. Sorry for the language, but yeah, I would be terrified out of my mind because animals like that. I'm just not an animal person, right? Now, mind you, these are dangerous animals, but even non dangerous animals, if I could keep them away from me, great. Because I love animals from 10 feet away. That's always my saying. I love all animals from 10 feet away. I don't need to pet each and every animal I see, especially wild animals, but even pets. I don't need to pet every single pet. Once in a year, well, that's a bit too little. Once every few months, I could pet a dog, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not an animal person, you know? Moving on. Next up, we have from r/confession. I convinced a substitute to let me use the computer, and I changed my failing grade before graduation. My teacher had just showed us our grades and the final outcome if we got an A on our final. I was failing and told I'd need to take summer school or repeat the class the following year in order to graduate. A sub came to the door and told our teacher he was needed in the office. I walked up to the sub and said I needed to check my grade again, and he said, let me. I pulled up the spreadsheet, filled in random 80s and 90s on the homework I didn't do until my final grade was passing. What? Oh, they did it on the homework that they didn't do until their grade was a passing grade. I ended up graduating AB on a roll because of it. No summer school. You know what? In the theme of going back, ooh, Euphoria. Oh, I don't want to talk about Euphoria anymore, but okay, I'll tell you briefly, right? Since you asked, I hated how heavy-handed the references to religion were in this final episode. Like, if it had one or two instances, okay, great. But it was just too much. Especially, what tipped it over the edge was Lexi, of all people, being like, you know what, guys? The Bible seems pretty cool. There's a lot of death and sex and violence. We should probably read the Bible, kids. That just felt so heavy handed. It felt so insane and out of character, even for her. Well, especially for her, right? It made no sense because you could have kept all the heavy religion, symbolism, and all that stuff with just Ali's character and with the family on the homestead at the very end of the episode. All that stuff perfectly fit with each character, but Lexi being like, we should read the Bible, that came out of nowhere, especially considering Lexi had such a minor role throughout the entire season. Let's not even talk about Jules. Jules could have been written out of this entire show completely. Jules had no reason to be there at all. But yeah, back to what I was saying. If God created this opportunity for you to do this, it was part of his plan, most likely. You know, this is him showing you a mercy. Who no one knows what you did. Maybe you saved a kitten on the side of the road the night before, and God was like, you know what? Thank you for that. I'm giving you this opportunity. You know, because guess what? Well, I was going to say it's not on you, but yeah, kind of doing stuff like this is wrong. But at the same time, hey, if this substitute teacher was comfortable letting you access the main computer, mm, I don't want to say it's on them, but like, who knows? Let's see what the people think. This is a proper confession. You have been forgiven. Now, now go say 12 alphabets and solve 9 Pythagorean, whatever, Pythagoras related equations. Happy summer. This person Catholic schools. Ooh, vicious flashbacks to like what was it? 10 Hail Marys, something. Yeah. Ooh, back to Euphoria. I'm sorry, but Euphoria, we just need to talk about Euphoria. I'm sorry. We need to I well, since you asked, why did I mention Euphoria again? Because I realized recently I have a bit of a pet peeve for when TV shows or movies play like classical music, and I'm doing air quotes if you can't see me, classical music for dramatic effect or for aesthetic, but then the song they pick doesn't match the scene. I've realized I have a pet peeve for that, right? Because earlier in this season of Euphoria, they had a scene where Ave Maria was playing while Cassie was doing a montage of all her sex related stuff. I'm pretty sure it was Ave Maria. I don't remember that much, but I think it was. And it felt out of place because it doesn't match the scene at all. I only realized I had this pet peeve when I was watching, I think, the Super Mario movies. Super Mario Bros. Movie when it came out, right? The cartoon for kids. When I was watching that, they had a scene where they were playing the main song from Carmen, right? If you don't know, well, you would recognize the song. Just search up like opera song Carmen, right? I think I forgot the name. It's Haben. Oh, I forgot the name. I'm thinking habanero, but it's not habanero. That's a pepper. Habanera? Question mark? I don't know. Whatever. It's a song. You will recognize the song, but in essence, what this song is about, it's like this basically almost prostitute is being like, "Hey guys, I know you want me. You're gonna fall in love with me. And then when you do, I'm not gonna love you back." That's the premise of the song. They play that during the Super Mario Bros. Movie, and I'm like, that doesn't fit. I understand that you want it for the aesthetic, but like it just doesn't fit. It felt weird, and none of the kids are gonna complain. Obviously, they don't know what's going on, but it still felt weird. So yeah, back to Euphoria. I appreciated the fact that they played Ave Maria, well, a different version this time, when Rue was dying, right? Because fit. If there were ever a place for Ave Maria to play, it is literally while someone is dying, listening to an audiobook of the Bible, trying to relieve themselves of their sins. If ever there was a time and place for it, that would be one of them. Because if you don't know, Ave Maria is basically a prayer for begging the Mother Mary to pray for you, right? Like you confess your sins and whatever, and you beg Mary, please, Mother of God, please tell your son to be lenient. Please ask him to give us forgiveness. You know what I mean? You're basically begging this mother to tell her son to be nice to you, right? And it fit the scene perfectly. But that's not what we're talking about. I think I've talked about this one enough. There isn't much to add on to this Reddit story in particular, but let's keep moving. Next up, am I the asshole for refusing to sign off on 4 volunteer hours for a teen who was only there for less than an hour? Before I even read this, unless this child was like terminally ill with something, you're not the asshole. But let's see, okay? We had a community cleanup in our neighborhood on last Saturday near the park. Nothing major, just picking up trash, etc. I was helping there out as a volunteer. A lot of teens came to earn volunteer hours for school. Rule is simple. You show up, sign in, do the work, and at the end, I signed a sheet with actual time. One guy showed up with his mom around 9:15. Cleaning started at 9. He signed in, grabbed gloves and a trash bag, took a couple of photos by the supplies table, and headed towards the trail. About 20 minutes later, I noticed he wasn't in any of the groups. I didn't go looking for him because I'm not a babysitter. Just thought maybe he was with another team. But all the groups were handing in their bags to me, and I didn't see him again. Around 12:30, when we were already wrapping up, he showed up again with an iced coffee in his hand. His mom came up to me with his school form and asked me to sign for 4 hours. I told I couldn't. According to what I saw, he was there for less than an hour. I agreed to sign for 45 minutes or 1 hour maximum, but not 4. She immediately got tense and said he was around and helping somewhere further down the trail. I said that if one of the team leads confirmed it, I'd sign for more. But I couldn't do it without that. She lowered her voice and said he needed those hours for a school requirement, otherwise he'd be in trouble. I said it felt strange for me to sign for something that didn't happen. Guy stood there silently, didn't say anything, and was staring at his phone. After his mom said I was humiliating him in public, though there were almost no people, I replied that I wasn't calling him lazy or anything like that. I just wouldn't sign for 4 hours if he hadn't actually worked them. I ended up signing 1 hour and seeing him and his mom angrily leave the park. Now, I'm not sure about my decision and even feel myself a bit cruel, but it seems to me that volunteer hours will lose their meaning if all would show up, take a picture and ask parents to ask others to sign the paper. Okay, I'm sorry for laughing towards the end of like the trying to maintain the sacredness of volunteer hours. That's a bit funny. But yeah, not the asshole, because like, yeah, you can't sign for something they didn't do, right? Now, mind you, I feel as though this is so trivial that if it were just if they caught you on maybe a better day, you might have just been like, you know what, who cares? Let's just sign it and go on with it. But like at the same time, it's equally understandable for you to just be like, you know what, hey, he didn't do it. I'm not going to sign off for it. Because, yeah, he should have done it. You're not asking him to run a marathon here. You know, you're just asking him, hey, if you need to do this for your own good, do it. This woman, I always jump to assumptions of what these people's lives are like, but this mother sounds like a boy mom. Like those typical boy moms, your boy child can't do anything wrong. They're always perfect. And even when they're in the wrong, you don't discipline your child or even try to make them do the right thing. Because why is she defending him being like, oh, well, he was around? Mind you, I assume the mother was nowhere to be seen because she's not volunteering. So guess what? How could she know what he was doing? And he didn't even try to butt in and be like, but no, actually, I was over there. I was not even a lie. Like, at least kids these days are so lazy. They don't even lie anymore. They just sit still and scroll through TikTok. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy because, like, at least have the decency to lie to me, you know? But yeah, that being said, sneaking out of it and making your mother lie for it, kind of weird. Kind of weird. But at the same time, it's something so trivial that I'm like, you're not an asshole for doing this. But I don't know. It's just so trivial. But good for you for taking a stand on something like that. You know what I mean? The issue, let's see what people commented. The issue is that the teen's lack of responsibility slash accountability is being supported and encouraged by his mother. It's not cruel, to be honest, to sign knowing he didn't do the work devalues the time commitment that the others who did do the work, not the asshole. Interesting. I agree, right? Not the asshole. You did exactly what the form is for. He showed up, took pictures, disappeared, came back with coffee, and his mom tried to turn that into 4 hours because he needed it. Now, mind you, this guy could just volunteer another 4 hour shift. But I assume he wait for the very last moment to do this. I assume he's like, this is his final thing to bear, pass a class, scrape by, whatever he needs to do, and he waited for the last moment and this was the only thing available because he could just do it another time. But yeah, that's just not the asshole. The mother was out of line trying to game the system. Yeah, it's just weird. Also, if I have a child and they signed up for something like this and they ducked out of it to do something dumb and just go buy coffee, I would be upset because do the thing you're supposed to be doing. Like, that's great. And then having the audacity to be like, oh, you're embarrassing my son in public. Bitch, you're embarrassing him by raising him like a fool. Like, what? But yeah, transitioning. Now, this is the final story for the night. Before I begin this, I'm going to go off on a self rant uh, for no reason at all. I feel as though I want to eventually refine my content because I have absolutely no clue how to I have no clue how to do it, right? Because I don't know what people want to see. Well, they want to see Mr. Beast, but I don't have that budget. I mean, give me the budget and I'll do better than him. I'll outperform him. I'll give content that not only the kids will watch, the adults would enjoy too. But yeah, realistically, I think I eventually want to try gaming. But here's the thing, I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it, which is why I think some comedy might come from it. Like, people might enjoy see me failing over and over and over and over. But at the same time, I may need to move from where I currently am to game because I can't exactly be raging at a video game, shouting and stuff like that where I currently am. That's just not an option. So I I need to figure this shit out, right? Because as of right now, I'm not getting consistent views though. If you're listening to this sometime in the future, I'm not getting consistent views. So I'm not exactly doing this for a quote fan base because, well, frankly, I don't have one. But I'm doing this right now, firstly, as a commitment to myself. I'm telling myself at this schedule, I'm doing it consistently until I figure out what I want to do and then expand and get better at it. That's the only way. If you wait until you are perfect at something, that time will never come. You start where you are right now and you learn and pick up skills as you go along. That is what I'm hoping for, right? So that's where I'm at right now. I'm not sure if the Reddit stories is where I want to stick because I could stick with them and make them more dramatic, right? Clip them for TikTok and make it more dramatic. But then that's just not me. I want to stay authentic to me. I sound so pretentious, like those artists who are like, I want it to be really what I am. But at the end of the day, this is technically entertainment, right? If people click on this video, you're clicking on it for entertainment. So I need to give what the audience wants. That's the task here, right? But I'll stick to the Reddit stories for now. Maybe news articles when they are interesting. Currently, to give you an update on the news. I I go off on side tangents so much. That's why I chose Twitch instead of making regular YouTube videos because I can't stick to a script. If I'm reading a script, I would go off tangent and talk about so much random stuff. But yeah, currently in the news, a lot of crime, though. Like there was a recent spree of like mass shootings and stuff like that, as usual. But currently there were negotiation talks between Trump, Netanyahu, and Iran in general for ceasefires. Then the peace talks fell through, and then Trump said, I don't care if they fall through, whatever happens, happens. He just doesn't care. Then he changed his tune to be like, peace talks are back on. But yeah, it's just a messy state of affairs right now, okay? But let's get back to Reddit. This one comes from r/am I overreacting? Am I overreacting for telling my boyfriend I'll leave if he keeps quote joking about my dead mom? That's great. What? I, 22 female, have been with my boyfriend, 28 male, for almost 2 years. Overall, he's been good to me, but his quote dark humor is starting to destroy me. Oh my. My mom passed away from cancer 3 years ago. It was the worst thing I've ever gone through. I've told him multiple times that jokes about her are completely off limits. Last weekend, we were at a small gathering with his friends. He joked that my mom, quote, must be relieved she doesn't have to deal with my emotional baggage anymore. A couple guys laughed. I told him right there it wasn't funny. Okay. And to never say anything like that again. He rolled his eyes and called me too sensitive. Yesterday it happened again while we were alone. He said something like, quote, at least your mom doesn't have to see how crazy you get during your period. I lost it. I told him that was his final warning. If he ever makes another joke about my dead mom, I'm done with the relationship. Okay. Now he's saying I'm overreacting on dark humor is just who he is, and that I, quote, knew what I was getting into. His friends are also texting me saying I need to chill and that I'm trying to change him. I feel like I'm going insane. I've been crying all day. Is it really that big of a deal to expect basic respect for my dead mother? This is crazy. Firstly, men or people like this in general piss me off, but specifically men like this because did you not grow up with a family? Were you raised by wolves? If someone tells you, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, please don't do it, especially if you're dating this person. You see, the concept of love is such a dead thing right now. Because if your partner tells you, hey, this is something that I specifically am sensitive to, you don't tell the other person, you need to get over it. No, you try your very best to comfort them. Either that or just end the relationship if you can to do it. But at the same time, this should be such a non-issue. Specifically because guess what, gentlemen? Men out there, men listening to this, even children, young children who think that one day they'll grow up to be this edgelord, whatever. You are not Dave Chappelle. You are not a comedian. You are just a random person living your random lives. So if the person you claim to love tells you, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, guess what? Listen, okay? You're not getting paid. You're not doing a Netflix special here. You're not doing a roast. You are not financed through your dark humor. You don't have to keep it going. Now, mind you, I enjoy some dark humor, but this isn't humor. The fact that your relationship here is dangling by a thread and you're like, you know what, let's grab the scissors and start cutting, you know, like a preteen girl. Sorry, but you get what I mean, right? Because there's a big difference from comedians doing it and then everyday people doing it to people in your actual life. You need to know when to draw the line. That's crazy because I can't relate to anything like this, but I know there are things that are absolutely off limits and they're not, we don't speak about these things, right? You don't sit down with people and be like, okay, these are the things that are not allowed to joke about. It's just common decency. You know, every single person has something that they hold dear to themselves, that they feel sensitive about or they feel insecure about, or something that's just a sore topic or something that they are currently going through, right? Because in 10 years it might not be that sore, but the fact that this was just 3 years ago and this age difference, it's not a weird age difference, but the fact that he's damn near 30 and this is the hill he wanted to die on is crazy. Also, this means this poor girl lost her mother when she was 19, right? Yes, she's a grown woman, but at the same time, losing your parent is never an easy thing to go through. We could all agree on that. So the fact that this is what he chooses, I want to know who this man is, just specifically to talk shit to him, like to tell him horrible. Okay, I'm not going to encourage hate, but you know what I mean? People like this really, really disgust me because you could tell these are the people who spend their entire lives online, and then when it comes to an interpersonal connection in real life, they suck at it because they don't understand, hey, life isn't a Call of Duty lobby. You know what I mean? But let's see. Uh, Top comment. God, I wish women would stop giving multiple chances to absolutely losers. Yeah, leave the guy. This one upset me because, yeah, leave him. I know she's a bit on the younger side, so she might not know how to set boundaries yet, but this is a time and place. If they ever were to learn how to set boundaries, this is the time and place. Because leave his ass, just leave him, because the man is damn near 30 and have the emotional growth of a fungus. I don't know, that's the only growth I could think of that's disgusting. Because the, I'm going to say something. Let's see how I could word this. People would always comment on the fact that women are emotional, women are the more sensitive ones, women are the ones who lead with their hearts. And then men will say that and then not treat women to cater to their emotions. Like, it doesn't make sense, because you're basically saying, I know you are different from me. I know exactly how you are different from me. And I'm still gonna disregard all that. Because the stereotype has always been that men lead with their brains, women lead with their hearts. I don't agree with it, right? But that's always been the stereotype. And the men will basically be like, you're sensitive. I'm gonna throw my brain out my head and disregard anything for you. Like, that's just dumb. And the thing is, he's not even funny, because that's just insult. It's not insult humor, it's just an insult, right? And the fact that his friends are encouraging it shows you just how disgusting he is, right? Someone says, that's beyond dark humor. And the fact he carries on despite you telling him multiple times you don't want him to joke about your mom shows he has zero respect for you. Telling someone not joke about one particular subject is not trying to change someone. I would really leave this relationship. Yeah, that's the only result here. Let's skim through the comments just to see. People are saying please leave him because, yeah, this is emotional abuse. I could see that, because why on earth would you stay with someone like this? But hopefully she understands how to draw boundaries and leave, like cut loose and run, right? Because that's such a mean thing to say to someone whose parent just that at least your dead mother doesn't have to see you doing this. Like, that's so nasty, right? But yeah, that being said, I think I need to wrap up on this because I could rant about this for a good while now. Ooh, now that I'm thinking about it in detail. But yeah, that would get me heated. But that being said, oh wait, let's get some house cleaning, house rules out. Well, no, I already discussed it, right? I want to lean into gaming, and with that being said, I will be able to stream for much longer. But I need to get a better setup. I need to get a better location, all that stuff. I will stick to the Reddit stories until I refine my commentary about what I want to talk about. I I think I'll keep it as it is right now. No script, blind reacting to stuff to give my initial reaction, because I contemplated coming up with a script and trying to write in jokes and whatnot, trying to keep it entertaining. But I don't think I'll do well with that, because like I said, if you hand me a script, I'm gonna go off script. If you hand me the paper with the words on it, I'm gonna turn it over and write my own stuff and try to change it, change it, change it, change it. Because I like discussing and pivoting from point to point to point to point. But yes, that being said, if you made it all the way to the end, thank you for listening. Goodbye.